Dewey's out roaming again, down in his favorite path system. Not my favorite, but it's the closest to my house. It's quite nice, down by the Humber River. So today I want to touch on what the mayor of Barrie, Ontario did yesterday. His name is Alex Noodle or Nuddle. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Yeah, big guy. And I didn't know anything about him, but apparently he's a conservative, which makes sense why he declared a state of emergency in his city. I don't know a whole lot about Barrie, Ontario, but I was there. I think it was before Christmas last year. So last winter, I think. It wasn't that long ago. And I was there with a buddy, and we went down to the downtown core area there. And yeah, it's very sketchy. You can tell there's a lot of drug addicts, homelessness. So basically, the mayor of Barrie he organized a news conference with regards to the state a city is in, or he feels that it's in, and it's he deemed it dangerous enough and severe enough to declare an emergency. So he went on to say, he had a bunch of counselors with him as well. Deputy mayor was with him. He went on to say that he is well, obviously there's an opioid epidemic there. He pointed that out. A couple months ago, there was a large encampment that was homeless encampment that was dismantled because there was two murders in the homeless encampment, and the person's been caught that did it. And I think he dismembered the bodies. It was pretty horrific crime scene. So they just dismantled the homeless encampment, and so he's taken it one step further with regards to trying to make a city safer. So he pointed out, specifically, the legal system is not penalizing drug trafficking, drug use enough, and he said that the federal government, who appoints the judges, so our federal government's been liberal for 10 years, so without him coming out and saying that he was blaming the liberals, well, he was blaming the liberals, and yes, I would blame the liberals too. He said it's not a funding problem. He's had adequate funding with regards to trying to facilitate people off the street, trying to facilitate drug rehabilitation. But he's saying that that the federally appointed judges are coaching or telling the Crown prosecutors not to prosecute certain crimes. And this obviously gets back to the police. So the police don't even arrest these people. That's what he's saying in a nutshell. So I think, well, I don't think, with his proclamation of the state of emergency, it's obviously given him some sort of overriding powers, I'm assuming, so he can take matters into his own hands and circumvent the liberal red tape, soft on crime legal channels. So hopefully Barrie sees an improvement with regards to their drug epidemic and the crime that is associated with drugs. Another thing I want to touch on today. You live in a city where you have public transit. A lot of smaller communities don't have public transit, and most cities in Canada don't have a subway system. Only the larger ones do. So I live in a city, well, I live in the biggest city in Canada, so we have all the big city necessities, the big city infrastructure, and along with that goes the big city problems. So you may or may not be aware, last week a 23-year-old woman was stabbed to death on public transit in North Carolina. She went on to either, I think it was a streetcar or some sort, it was above ground transit system, and she was an immigrant from the Ukraine. Apparently, what the story's been told, she fled war-torn Ukraine to go to the United States to have, you know, a better life and to be more safe. So she was an aspiring model, and she was working a few jobs. So one of her jobs was at a pizza shop, and after her shift was complete in the evening, she boarded the transit system there, and she sat with her back to a guy that was behind her, a black dude that was behind her with a hoodie up. It looked like he had dreadlocks, and his head was leaning against the window. So she's wearing earbuds. She's immediately on her phone, which is a no-no in my eyes. First of all, if you're trying to be aware of what's going on around you, try not to put your back to someone. That's rule number one. Number two, don't wear earbuds on public transit. Number three, stay off your phone. Put your phone away so no one can even see it. Like, I know easier said than done. For me, it's very easy to do that, because I know the consequences. This woman sat down by this dude, and this guy had 13 previous, I don't know if convictions, but he's been charged 13 previous times for a slew of crimes, including assault, and I believe assault on women. So, the guy's a piece of shit, obviously. Not a good guy. So, this woman is naive. She goes and sits with her back to him. So, subsequently takes a pocket knife out of his pocket. It's all over the internet. I don't know if it's all over mainstream media. I doubt it's all over mainstream media, because that doesn't fit their narrative. Black people killing white people, that don't fit the narrative. You know, they got to paint Whitey to be the bad guy. So he gets up, gets his knife ready, and he stabs her in the neck. They don't show the video from what I've seen, but they show him getting up, and up until the point where he plunges the edge weapon into her multiple times. So in doing so, he cut himself, like a lot of people do when they use an edge weapon. They cut themselves with it as well in the commission of the assault. In this case, it was a homicide. So then he just gets off. There's blood dripping from his hand. He just gets off the public transit vehicle, and he just waits on the platform or the street until the police show up. The police showed up relatively quick, to understand. And they take him into custody. And I'm thinking he's still in custody, but who knows? Who knows? He could have been released with no bond. But they showed a picture of the judge, one of the judges that released him from one of his last, if not the last, thing he got charged with. And obviously a Democrat, liberal appointed judge. She looked like could be his sister or his mother. That's what it looked like. It didn't look like a judge to me, but what the judges look like these days, anyways. All they are social justice warriors that are put in place for their radical views. So, a couple years back, there was 2 women stabbed at. I'm tying this into a couple Toronto incidents. A couple years back, 3 or 4 years back, there was 2 women stabbed at the High Park subway station on the platform. One died from their injuries, and I think about 6 months before that, a woman was set on fire on a bus at the Kipling subway station platform, and she died a couple weeks later in hospital. So people get pushed on the tracks in subway stations. People get assaulted on public transit daily. A lot of it goes unreported. We had a slew of assaults about 2 years ago. It was making the news every day or every other day, where people were getting edge weapon attacked, physically assaulted, people spitting on people. That probably happens 10 times a day. I know the drivers, I think most of the drivers have shields now, and so their likelihood of being assaulted has diminished. But I remember back in the day that bus drivers would be spit on was a common occurrence. I have a friend of mine, he's a bus driver. He's been for over 20 years. I got a couple friends actually that drive buses, and yeah, it can be a stressful job with regards to that. I was just talking to a person I know that takes the TTC every day for work, and she'll never sit with her back to someone. She usually stands in a doorway, so she can keep her vision, 180-degree vision on what's coming. And she never wears her buds, and she never is on her phone. Now that is sound advice. People leave the house and they think this is such a safe city, and you know, they don't fear nothing, and you know, they just think it's a great city. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is unequivocally false. You know, I get some people saying, well, it used to be worse in the 80s, it used to be worse in the 90s. Well, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I ran the streets, and I was on the streets in the 80s and 90s. I seen a lot of nooks and crannies. I remember when crack became an epidemic in Toronto back in the mid to late 80s. So I know what's going on in this city. People say it used to be worse then, and you know, some things I guess were, but you know, our homicide rate this year has been cut in half, but that could be attributed to, you know, better EMT officers, able to treat the wounds better. There could be a multitude of reasons why that is. It's not from the lack of sourcing U.S. guns. It's not from the lack of sourcing illicit hard drugs, because that's everywhere. So I would say that the murder rate this year being around, I think it's at 30 right now, is an anomaly. That is not the exception. Carjackings, home invasions, sexual assaults, they're all high. They're at record highs. And what's happening with our infrastructure in relation to our immigration influx, it can't keep up. The judicial system can't keep up. The legal system can't keep up. So our prison systems aren't equipped to handle the increase in population, the drastic increase in population. I always understand between 2015 and today that we've allowed 7 million people into Canada from other countries. I'm hearing reports now from a person by the name of Mario on social media. I don't know his last name, but people in Canada and people in North America know this person. He's very popular. He's very good at fact finding and putting together detailed videos that outline crime rates, crime statistics, immigration, the level of education that the immigration is coming with. So he's unearthed something that I just seen a day or 2 days ago that would indicate that we have between an influx of 10 and 11 million people between 2015 and now, and that's all liberal invites into this country. So, and you know what, you can see every corner of this country, you can see that it probably is 10 to 11 million people. And I'm down in a park here. I see a lot of single men walking down in here all the time, more and more every day, more and more every day. And they don't look like me. They are from Africa. They're from South Asia. It is it's, you know, it is what it is. But my point being, the more people that you bring in, the more jobs people are going to need, the more housing people are going to need. And if people can't find housing and jobs, they live in a park. I just drove through rode through a park that I go through once a week. And yeah, the homeless encampment's up to 4 tents now. It was 1 2 months ago. Now it's 4, and 2 of them are sizable tents. So, you know, it's come up mid-September. It's not getting any warmer in Toronto. So I don't know what they're going to do in the winter. So anyway, I don't know what's happening there. But my point being is, the more people you bring into the country, the more people that will have no money. So people with no money become desperate. They commit crimes. So crimes of opportunity. They'll see an old lady walking through here with a walker and her purse, and I see this one lady I've talked to twice already. She's an older lady her English isn't very good, but she's walking with her phone out, and she's carrying a little bag in her hand, walking. So someone on a bike like mine can just come and grab it out of her hand. So I told her not to do that. I told her to, at very least, walk with it on the grass side, so it'd be, you know, a little more difficult for someone to snatch it. And she said, "Oh, thank you." Then I seen her the next time I seen her. She was, you know, carrying a dangling purse. Ladies, carry a crossover bag, a side sling bag, a backpack. Don't show your phone. Don't show your purse. you know, don't let your naive thought on the way Toronto is get you into trouble. Be vigilant. The city is it's declining rapidly. You know, if you watch any videos on France, you watch any videos on the UK, Germany, certain parts of Ireland, these countries are on the verge. They're teetering on collapse because of the influx of African and South Asian military-aged men. They're coming in with no work to do. They have no work, so they start selling drugs. Okay, I'm not saying they're all bad. They're trying. A lot of them are probably hardworking people, no doubt about it. But there's only so many jobs to go around. There's only so many hospital beds to go around. There's only so many government handouts that can be handed out. Then you're on your own. So Toronto is, I would say, not. It's, you know, it's one of the worst cities in Toronto, or in Canada. But you know, you got smaller cities like Hamilton that's not too far away. You got I think the crime capital of Canada is Winnipeg, with regards to homicides per capita, violent crimes per capita. It's Winnipeg. Vancouver, which I've been out there, and I've walked East Hastings twice, and it's apocalyptic. It's the worst I've seen. I've gone through the Byward Market, just out of the Byward Market in Ottawa, and it's very, very bad there too. There's a lot of open drug use there. Toronto, obviously, there's lots of open drug use downtown in the core. Peterborough, Lindsay, Oshawa, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, North Bay, all these small towns, and I'm just rattling off ones in Ontario because I know them. And daily, the opioid crisis is getting worse and worse, to the point where a Barrie mayor declares a state of emergency. You won't get Liberals declaring a state of emergency, because you know what? They're down watching film premieres and all the the liberalism down there. Everything's going great for them. They have an electric car. They have an in-ground pool. They have, you know, their grandkids' tuition paid for universities, and that's all. That's great. That is awesome. But your life, you've had a good life. I've had a relatively good life myself. But the future, that if you have grandkids and kids, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter how much money you have and how insulated you are today. I'm telling you, that's going to change. That is going to change, and it's going to change for the wealthy. And when the wealthy lose their money, it's going to be more of a shock than someone who's already living in a tent in a park. They're going to have the advantage. They're going to have the upper hand. People that live on the street now, when people that came from a soft life, a soft way of living, when they end up on the streets, they're going to be taken advantage of, and they're not going to survive. They're going to be people that are going to be waiting for them, predators. So don't think it can't happen to you, because it's going to happen to you. It's not if, it's when, and I think it's going to be sooner than later. So anyhow, watch yourself on the TTC. Don't wear your buds. Don't look at your phone. Don't pull your wallet out. I guess you got to pull your wallet out sometimes to pay to get on the TTC. I understand that. Be very aware who you sit and who you stand around. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And don't walk through the park and down the streets like, oh, you don't have a care in the world. You better start caring. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.